Welcome back, everybody, for another review. We got a lot to cover today, so let's just dive right into it. So, we pick up with Prince Darkness receiving the report that the slave plaza has been raided, and along with the other four slave markets. And the main slave market is requesting reinforcements. So, he goes ahead and sends them to reinforce the slave market from Ark and Ariana's assault. Now, I just want to mention here, real quick, it's not that he did anything necessarily wrong here, but it would have been good if he took some time to think about the situation, what's really going on, and try to analyze it. Because he just immediately just says, yeah, just send troops. He doesn't sit down and think like, hmm, all the slave markets are being attacked. Maybe we should, instead of focusing on the larger one, send our forces split out to the smaller ones. I'm just saying that he didn't really spend much time, so just showing that he wasn't that much of a strategic thinker, just kind of more like I guess you could say more of a dumb villain in my opinion, because he didn't really think through the scenario all that well. And really, we see how this ends up for him later on in the episode. But enough for that for now. Let's get on with the rest. So we cut back over to Ark and Goemon, just digging themselves out of their pre-made graves from their powers that they used, and continue their fight against the rest of the soldiers. From here, we cut over to Lady Ariana, Charmaine, and Ponta making their way through the slave market down to where the slaves are kept. They're using their spells such as Liquid Wolf Fang and Ariana using Blazing Blast to cut their way through the soldiers, which is very child's play. They make quick work of it, very easy for them. They eventually get to the slaves, find everybody at least in that main area, and free them and send the slaves off to go free the rest. They then head back to Ark and Goemon to inform them about the situation, that the slaves are being freed and they'll be meeting in a great hall to be transported out. Seeing that the situation is pretty much under control in the main courtyard, Ark leaves Goemon in control of it to go help teleport the slaves out of there. Once that's done, they then move on to the final building that has the slaves located. And they do pretty much the same thing as the last one, except they find a very ominous area with a very distinct odor. And once they open the doors and take a look inside, it's revealed to them from the other slaves that if you were sick or you were lame and you couldn't be saved, they just pretty much tossed you into this cell for you to die. And it's just a whole pile of rotting dead corpses. We don't get to see in the episode. Thank God I'm not a big fan of seeing dead corpses, but yeah, it's a pretty rough scene for everyone involved. From here, they transport the rest of the slaves out. Ark heading back for Goemon, who looks like he's in a pretty rough situation at the moment. Once he gets there, they team up and they unleash their combo move. Ark using Rock Fang and Goemon using Muscle to Stone and Spear Rock, which just completely levels the entire slave plaza. With that destroyed, they then bring back all the locked away slaves for proper burial. They don't have time to necessarily dig holes for them, so instead they lay them out in rows, and when it's time, Ariana sets them on fire, lighting the bodies ablaze and burning them to ashes, freeing the spirits. Here, Lady Choimain reconfirms her commitment to get stronger and swears to save more people. Now, this is a pretty sad scene, and you do feel it, and they let it breathe for a while, because you know with some TV shows they don't let you just embrace the sadness and know the emotion that the characters are feeling. And then they letting it up again with Goemon and Ark having another strength contest, still finding that they're both equally matched and just laughing it off again. Still confusing the girls, but they're just like, okay, yeah, they got something in common, we guess. So I like to see it's a bond that dudes would have that chicks probably wouldn't recognize. So I appreciate them demonstrate that kind of male bonding within the show. Now, with the mission completed, Lady Chomaine tells Ariana and Ark the full details of where those slaves on that slave contract went, and apparently they've been sent to the Holy Revolian Empire. Now, apparently, upon hearing this name, it causes Ariana to have a stern look and is quite upset. So we'll get to learn more probably about their treatment of the elves later on in the series. But nonetheless, she informs the council of this huge amount of information. I mean, we as the viewer kind of expected this is where the show is going to be going, but you know, it's nice to see that the characters now know. So they decide to then head off for the Revolian Empire to go try to save as many slaves as they can within the empire itself. Now, with the two heading off on their next journey, there are a couple scenes in the episode that I do want to discuss with y'all before we wrap up the episode, and that is the scene with Darkness and his aide Centurion, who ends up betraying Darkness. Now, we kind of get the hint of Centurion betraying Darkness in the last episode because he had the necklace of Princess Iriana, so he knows that she's dead, but he told the prince that she was still alive. So we already knew that the betrayal was coming. It's just that Prince Darkness didn't really think through all the details. He had just complete faith in his aide, and that was his ultimate downfall. For as he's dying, he asks why, but never gets an answer from his aide. At that exact moment, Prince Set walks in, kind of laughs at Prince Darkness's fealty to the Revolian Empire, and with that fealty, this is his reward. So kind of just mocking that he's dead. At that, he drops the necklace of Princess Iriana, planting the evidence that, hey, Prince Darkness was the one behind the death of Princess Iriana, not me. I have clean hands here. Don't have to worry about things. So pretty much this is a brilliant political move by the prince, for now he has the road completely clear for him to the way to ascendancy to the throne. So very well done there, my man. He played the Game of Thrones well, if it just wasn't for Ark reviving his younger sister, that is. But details, details. Now from here we move over to the Grand Duchy of Lambert, where Princess Yana has just arrived and is currently meeting up with her older sister, who is overjoyed to see her because apparently she had thought that she was dead, slain by Prince Darkness. Now, upon hearing this news, Iriana demands that she tell her everything, that how she knew that Prince Darkness was behind her assassination attempt. Now, it's during this conversation in a private room that it's revealed that there was some trouble going on in the capital Olivia, and that was revealed during this trouble that Prince Darkness was behind everything, and thus he was slain by General Centurion to put his evils to end. Now, curious, because this doesn't really explain how they knew that it was Prince Darkness behind her assassination attempt, Iriana digs a little bit deeper, and it's where her sister reveals that, well, when he was killed, it was found that he had the necklace which your mother gave you, which you always wear, which is a pretty significant identifier that he was the one behind your killer. Which she somewhat accepts, but also questions maybe not, because it was pretty convenient that she gets assassinated, and then he gets assassinated within the same time frame. It makes her question it, making her wonder that maybe it was her brother Set who's really behind all these assassinations, because now he has a clear line to the throne and has no reason to worry about it. As she's thinking this, her sister mentions that, hey, now that we know you're alive for sure, let's go ahead and contact father so that he knows, so that we can ease his aching heart. At this, Iriana pushes back, saying, well, we'll just wait for a little bit, because now that I'm out of the picture and Prince Darkness is out of the picture, our very cautious brother won't be taking any hasty maneuvers to become king, and we gotta resolve this issue with the elves first before we finish up with my political issues, which I think is the correct way to do things here, because if you lose a treaty with elves, you lose access to magical equipment and magical items, which we were told were very, very important to keep your kingdom running. Also, if this happens, then the other nations around you would take sides with the elves probably, crush your nation, divide it up, grow their nations, and thus be stronger for it. So getting this political issue under wraps is the main thing right now, and dealing with the internal struggle later on that can be dealt at a later date. So I respect her decision there. I personally think it was the right one to go for. Gotta get that wrapped up first, otherwise you no longer have a nation to deal with. Though it will be interesting to see if her decision to focus on the elves first leads to her more trouble than focusing on defeating her brother Set. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Now from here, there is just one last bit that we've got to discuss, and that is we go over to the Holy Revolian Empire, and we are introduced to the Emperor there, where Emperor Dominatrix is hearing from one of his aides that Prince Set has slain Prince Darkness. Now upon hearing this news, the Emperor is kind of upset because he has provided so many resources to Prince Darkness just to have that pawn wasted. But he does hear some good news that Princess Iriana has been slain. The Emperor presumes that their operation then went on without a hitch because of the results, but the aide informs him that actually the wolves that they sent to kill the princess became utterly worthless, for right before the operation was to begin, the rings on the wolves were destroyed, leaving another party to have killed Princess Iriana. At this, the Emperor concludes that it was probably Prince Set that was behind the whole ordeal, because then he could pin the death of Princess Iriana on Prince Darkness. So it all would work out in the end, because Prince Darkness does not have probably a good view in the public eye, and he probably just slain the darling of the nation. So, with that in mind, it's not that hard to conclude that you would pin the death of an angel on a devil. So I can see where the reasoning there is coming from. Now, this wasn't in the show, this is just my own analysis, but that's kind of where my thinking is, where the Emperor is coming from. Next, he asks on the progression of Fabio, some character here that we don't really know yet, and it's revealed from the aide that he's just about ready and will be able to bring the Rhodian kingdom to its knees. At this, the Emperor lets out a chuckle, saying that he's probably going to put on quite the show for them. Now, the last shot of this episode is these like dune sandworms going through the sand with these rings in them, all of a sudden shooting up into the sky and killing like a dragon or a wyvern kind of creature. So these things are no joke that are going on, and we see a shadowy figure in the background as this is going on. So that's where we leave it for this episode. I'm kind of curious to see where the next one takes us. I'm going to presume it's going to be leading us to those creatures, but we don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Now, let's move on to the final part of my overall review for the episode. And overall, I'm going to give it probably a 7.5. It was decent. It wasn't bad. Do I want to come back to this episode again? Maybe not. Now, hear me out. Okay, they did a great job with action sequences. I enjoy that. They did a great job making you feel for the slaves and showing the horrors of what unhumane people will do to people that they see lesser of them, with just chucking them in a pit and not giving them proper burials. So I thought that was very well done. Also, I liked how they were filling out a little bit more on that, just reconfirming that we already know that the Rivolian Empire is behind a lot of the strife that's going on in the kingdom, that Prince Set is actually a very conniving political individual and is very good at what he does. So it's kind of nice to see how these elements are coming together. It's just that, is there something that really draws me back to this episode, that really catches me, really wants me to watch more of this particular episode? I gotta say no. I mean, the rescue was fun. I enjoyed seeing it. I liked seeing Goemon and Arc work together, but there wasn't a whole lot there that really draws me back into this being my favorite episode. I'm sorry, but a 7.5 I feel like is a respectable grade. It's a good episode, does quite a few things right, but it's just lacking something that really makes you want to go back and watch it over and over again. And I guess maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, because this series isn't kind of like one of those series that you watch repeatedly. It's more of a consumable media, so maybe I'm being a little bit too analytical on it, but that's just where I'm coming from with this episode. But hey, you guys let me know in the comments below. Am I being a little bit too harsh on it? Am I expecting a little bit too much from the show? I look forward to hearing from you, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care now. Bye.